We're in 2017 now. It's been 6 years since this conflict began, and now we have a law prohibiting open grazing. You say that it would seem that the law has brought some amount of sanity into the process, but then we also have cattle rearers complaining about, the fairness of this particular law. What is your take on the fairness of the law?
In the first place, the law was not an outcome. The law was a result of a process of advocacy, process of discussions, process of protests, occupations of the Benue State House of Assembly, insisting that this law be passed so that no more life is lost in Benue, public hearings in Abuja. That's the process that culminated. And eventually, the National Assembly abdicated the prerogative of making this law to the State Houses of Assembly. That was when the Benue State House of Assembly swung into action. There was a bill by the people under the aegis of the movement against Fulani occupation, presented at the State House of Assembly. There was also an executive bill by His Excellency the Governor of Benue State, Governor Otom, to the Benue State House of Assembly. The content of this bill was looked into and merged, and then a public hearing was announced. The Mieti Allah and all of the sister organizations were duly notified and invited to the public hearings. It was held in all of the senatorial districts where these people are also present. They were invited to look into these bills and to make their inputs so we can be able to have a mutually beneficial law. As I speak to you, they didn't attend any of the public hearings until the people came up, presented their memorandum, looked at the bill by the Benue State House of Assembly, and then from their input, this final draft was made, and then it was now signed by the governor. And after the signing in May, just a moment, please. After the signing in May, a period of 6 months, 5 to 6 months was given as moratorium for them to be able to, come so we can look at ways where we can amicably implement the law. But they spent the 6 months dragging Benue State government into litigations. They spent the 6 months issuing press statements that amounted to threats to the lives of Benue people.
You know for a fact that no memorandum was presented by Mieti Allah.
I know for a fact because I was present there at the public hearing.
My colleague Gimba has a question for you.
Mr. Ogbole, because people are really concerned about this law and how it is affecting both the farmers and the herdsmen. Would you say that 10 million cattle, as you said, can possibly be, you could actually provide that kind of can the law provide that kind of facility to keep them in Benue State?
The law provides for the establishment of ranches, and specifically the Section 6, subsection 1 of the law provides that all intended ranchers can approach local communities and individuals who own lands in places that they find interest to run their businesses, and upon the consent of the people to sell or to lease out this land to them, they can approach the Ministry of Agriculture, that is in the implementation body for this law, and then get the right to actually, build a ranch there where they bring their cattle in and they feed their cattle within the ranches. The strongest point of the law is that there is no hoof on Benue soil. No hoof is permitted on Benue soil because it is the movement, the open grazing now, that amounts to the encroachment, and then these clashes, will come up. So the law actually provides for ranches to be built, by these people. And 10 million cattle, if they are adequately contained, I want to strongly believe there is enough land, to be able to provide the ranches that can contain them.
We did talk about how this law is able to accommodate some of these ranches that have been proposed. But to this time, has anyone come up with that prospect of having a ranch in Benue State?
The answer is categorically no. If they had come up, with the proposal to obtain land for ranches, even at the second month after the signing of this bill into law, And they have begun to build these ranches, and then the implementation time of 1st of November caught up with them. They could have gladly, we could have gladly, given the extension. But nobody came up in the 6 months moratorium period until the implementation.
Do you think the state government should have intervened in that regard? Because they also believe that the state government should have made the provision first. And then, because what it looks like has been done is that almost all, if not all, Fulani herdsmen have been criminalized.
That assertion is not true. No Fulani herdsman or herdsman has been criminalized or ostracized like some people have stated. This law is not made to address the issue of Fulani cattle only. There are Benue indigents who own livestock too. This law affects them. So it's a law, that is aimed at bringing peace, and compliance is required from the Fulani, cattle herders, and the Benue community or citizens and residents of Benue who own livestock too. So this law is not targeted at one particular person. This law is not meant to ostracize anybody. The last time the National Secretary, Usman Ngezama, was taken up on this subject matter, and then they asked him, have you read through this law? He said no, that he has gotten a copy of the law and he passed it across to the legal department of Mayati Allah. So they are actually speaking out of ignorance of the provisions of this law. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is not knowledge that is not available, but knowledge that is available but you deliberately ignore it. That is why it is called ignorance. So the provision of this law is not meant to ostracize or to stigmatize anybody. It's just to enhance peace and mutual, cohabitation.
But isn't that what we're seeing already? The fact that, a group of people are already been stigmatized.
That word stigmatization does not apply at all in this particular case. And no Fulani headsman has been chased out of Benue State. They began to withdraw because of their lack of understanding of the provisions of this law. This period of time, yes, somebody said the state government should have made provisions before the implementation of this law. I want to state categorically that cattle business is private business. And to take taxpayers' money to now begin to further the interest of a few group of people will not be fair.
But if you look at 10 million cattle vis-a-vis what could be made in terms of IGR, don't you think would have been a good investment decision?
As I speak to you, the cattle business is controlled 100% from inception to culmination by the Fulani people. The
so you don't see any way government should have been able to make any profits from
It does not generate IGR for any host state at all, because the sale of the cattle is controlled by the Fulani person. The butchering of the cattle is controlled by them. The selling and the table in the market is controlled by them. Even the end product of suya is still controlled by them. You see that it doesn't generate IGR.
Well, Mr. David Bully, we are totally out of time. We have to thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on Sunrise Daily this morning. He is the co-convener for the Movement Against Occupation. Well, that's Sunrise Daily this Monday morning. Thank you so much for talking to us as well, because we see lots of your comments on Twitter, and also thank you for your feedback on by our mailbox. I'm Maukbe Ogun. We'll see you tomorrow.